500 years ago, a war broke out between gifted immortals and mortals in the world called Alnief. While the armies of both sides were fighting, the hero named Graham faced the demon lord known as Veltal. They exchanged attacks that lasted for several hours. But in the end, Graham's strength and power prevailed and he successfully defeated the demon lord. In the year 2099, Veltal was resurrected with the help of one of his 6 dark peers, named Machina. Now that he came back to life, he wanted to continue his plan in conquering Alnief. But Machina told him that Alnief no longer existed. Almost 80 years ago, an unexpected event occurred between their world and another world called Earth. The two worlds merged and now known as Fantasion. With the advanced technology of the Earth and the magic tech of Alnief, a new world was created, and this is where they live in. Just a few moments later, Machina almost collided with another man, and Veltal got annoyed. He thought of showing the mortals who they were dealing with, so he used the L-Stunna. The authorities immediately took action because it was forbidden to use grand magic inside the city. They immediately left there, and when they were far away, Machina explained what happened after he died. The two sides agreed on a ceasefire, but after the Fantasion, the mortals carried out a movement called the Immortal Hunts. With the weapons that were used against the immortals, their race was almost extinct. The location of the other members of the 6 dark peers was not yet known to her, but Xenal sacrificed himself so she could escape because she and Shin were the only ones knew how to activate the Methanoel. When Veltal asked about Marcus, she suddenly changed the topic of their conversation. Then she decided to buy them something to drink, and a few moments after she left, Veltal noticed some ether. Then he saw a woman who did something to the screens. When she came down, he asked her what she did, but she just pretended not to know anything. So he told her that he saw the ether before the screen changed, and this surprised her. She asked who he was, so he immediately said that he was the demon lord. But she did not take his words seriously. Then Veltal asked again what she had done earlier. That was when he learned about hacking and he thought that it's an amazing talent. He took this opportunity to ask if she knew someone named Marcus. She pointed to the IHMI building because the CEO was Marcus. He immediately went there and was met by Marcus' private secretary, named Kinohara, and was informed that Marcus had been waiting for him for a long time. While they were in the elevator, he noticed something hanging from Kinohara's clothes, which according to her was a mascot character of Ishimaru Magic Heavy Industries. When he met Marcus, he immediately noticed that he did not pay respect to him. Veltal ignored it and just told him that they would rebuild the Immortal Kingdom. But Marcus immediately refused and only called him as Veltal. He got angry by this, but before Veltal could attack, Kinohara got ahead of him. He sustained a small wound, and for Marcus, it was just a sign that he had weakened. He tried to attack Marcus, but he did not succeed because of its spell breaker. He could not believe how Marcus had done this, so Marcus explained about the Familia. All those who received it were said to be able to cast magic faster. Marcus added that he personally designed the Familia, and made sure it would not be compatible with Veltal's body. Veltal still did not understand why Marcus betrayed him, so Marcus made it clear that he really did not like him from the beginning. After Marcus said what he wanted to say, he forced Veltal to get out of the building using his blood sword. Although Veltal survived, his regeneration was very slow. While Machina was looking for him, he got into a fight with a group of men and he could not defend himself because he was too weak. Machina immediately helped him, and while they were heading to her place, she apologized to him because she did not tell him about Marcus' betrayal. He immediately understood Machina, and when they arrived at her home, he found out that she only lived in a small apartment. He did not complain and instead praised her for her loyalty to him. When they went to their beds, Machina dreamed again of the day when she was thrown into the volcano by mortals. Fortunately, Veltal arrived and successfully saved her. Because of her great debt to Veltal, she served him wholeheartedly. When she woke up, she immediately cooked their breakfast. While she was waiting for the foods to be cooked, she asked her Familia, named Eliclate, about the current date and temperature of the city. When the breakfast was ready, she woke Veltal up and invited him to eat. Veltal liked what she served, and after they ate, he asked Machina if she knew anything about the whereabouts of other immortals. Machina knew that many had survived the immortal hunts, but recently she noticed the sudden disappearance of some of them, such as her close aides, named Ornard and Pomlock. When she went to where they lived, there was a trace of the battle that happened in the area. Then she saw a small paper with the word Immortal Furnace written on it. When Veltal was about to drink the tea, he felt that the injury he suffered yesterday had not completely healed. They knew that this was because those who believed in him had weakened in the current time, and they were the source of his power. Veltal wanted to wander around the city in the meantime, so Machina thought of inviting him to go shopping. She bought him something to wear so that he would look normal in his new clothes. While they were having a snack, he asked Machina about the Familia. She said that it was a great help because they could cast magic quickly. It had also other uses such as obtaining information, shopping, and talking to those far away without the need for any device. But even though it has many uses, it does not mean that the life of those who have it will be easier. While they were on their way home, Veltal decided to look for work to help Machina. She did not want him to do it, but he also did not want to be a burden to her. The next morning when he was about to leave to look for a job, Machina gave him a device that he could use to buy food, and it also had a tracker so she would know where he was. However, he did not know where to go, so he shouted out in the middle of the crowd that he was looking for a job hoping that someone could help him. A man approached and suggested to where he should go to get a job. Before he left, he was warned to avoid companies owned by IHMI, especially those related to constructions. When he arrived at the commercial guild, he immediately went for the interview. But all his answers were related to his leadership as a demon lord, causing him to fail in all of them. After returning home, he asked Machina if she knew anyone who could give him advice on finding a job. She remembered her friend and immediately called her to meet at a nearby cafe. Veltal did not expect that Machina's friend was the female hacker he met the other day. She introduced herself as Takahashi, and that's when she learned that what he told her being a demon lord was true. Veltal did not hesitate and immediately told Takahashi what they came for. He wanted a job where he would be known in different parts of the world. Since he had a good appearance and a beautiful voice, Takahashi suggested the live streaming to him. Machina did not want this because it was not a reliable and stable job, but in the end, she could not do anything to stop them. Takahashi helped Veltal set up and it became easy for him to learn what to do after he analyzed the computer. He tried to play the Bloody Spirit, a game that many gamers were having difficulty to win. Even he too had a hard time to win in the game. But he was not discouraged and he still played it on his live stream. As the day went by, his subscribers gradually increased and Takahashi's connection also helped a lot to promote his channel. Because of his strange speech, many people were annoyed, but many were also happy to watch him. As time passed, more and more people followed him until his subscribers reached 1 million. After his live stream, he went out to get a package. While he was walking, he did not expect that he would see Graham. He invited him to eat udon and he took the opportunity to ask him why he seemed to have become immortal too. Graham clarified that he did not become immortal and that goddess Meldia had only blessed him with eternal youth after he successfully defeated him. So when there was a war between humans, he was sent to fight, causing him to also eliminate other mortals that he saved from Veltal. The country he served decided to exile him, so he became a vagabond. He asked Veltal why he wanted to rule the world, and Veltal immediately replied that he wanted peace. He witnessed the weakness of immortals and mortals for many reasons and he wanted to take the lead in resolving this problem. Graham did not agree with his views, so in the end they still did not understand each other and Graham decided to leave. On his way home, he saw Takahashi who seemed to argue with a man. They could not agree on the right price of what Takahashi ordered the man to do. So Takahashi told the man that he was narrow-minded, which made him angry. Luckily Veltal stopped him before the man could hurt her. He remembered Veltal because he was the one whom he fought the other night. Veltal took advantage of this opportunity to test his power from his million subscribers. He blocked the man's punch, and this time, he defeated him without difficulty. He learned that this man was going to serve as her bodyguard in a mission that she needed to do. Because of what he showed, Takahashi decided to hire him as her bodyguard. Veltal agreed because Takahashi would pay him. His job was to get the attention of the Yakuza Guild while Takahashi would try to get her target. Before Takahashi could even give a signal, he moved to attack the storehouse. When he saw the small cube on the table, he talked to Takahashi to confirm if this was what she needed. Takahashi was surprised because she thought he did not have a familia. It turned out that he had created a familia ether communication using his magic. He wanted to test how much power he acquired from his million subscribers. An enemy fired at him, but it did not work because of his vestum. Then he started attacking and easily defeated the enemies. Takahashi was about to approach him, but suddenly another enemy appeared. It turned out to be a fourth-generation Magino-gear, so Takahashi wondered why the Yakuza had something like this because it belonged to the city's special forces. She told Veltal to retreat because she believed it was impossible for him to defeat it. But Veltal refused because it was the right opportunity to test his power. He fought it until he reached the limit of his million subscribers. Then he used the Gradshear and they fought using their sword skills. While Veltal was thrilled with their exchange of attacks, he did not expect that one of his arms and also his head would be cut off. The Magino-gear thought he had killed his opponent, but he was surprised when Veltal spoke. After Veltal attached his head to his body, he used his vernal. When he attacked, the enemy could not do anything because of his speed and the strength of his weapon. After the fight, he got the cube and told Takahashi to come closer. Takahashi saw the IHMI brand on the Magino-gear and this made her even more worried. Veltal learned that the cube was just a data storage device. Takahashi decided to peek into its contents, and they saw a list of names that according to Veltal were the names of immortals. She tried to call his client but she could not contact him. Because of this, they decided to go to where her client lived. When they arrived at his unit, Takahashi was surprised to find that the door was not locked and that there was a foul smell from it. They saw his client, named Ejiu, in a room but he was dead. Veltal recognized him immediately because he was the one who helped him when he was looking for a job. Based on the wounds he sustained, a hitman might have attacked him. His familia was also broken and there was a high possibility that this was also the hitman's goal. Takahashi knew that Ejiu would leave evidence behind, so she tried to search and found the laptop in the drawer. When they opened the files, they saw a video about the immortal furnace. In this video, Ejiu explained his findings about the ether reactor. This provides energy to the entire city, but to meet the needs of the entire city, it had to use an immortal furnace. Those in IHMI consider immortals as magic fuel for the immortal furnace. Based on the information he got, Xenol of the Six Dark Peers was the first immortal to be used as fuel for the furnace. He found out that the Yakuza Guild was selling lists of immortals to IHMI, so he hired Takahashi to steal the list. The fuel for the immortal furnace might be running out, so they are starting to hunt for immortals again. Even though the ether reactor was of great use to the city, he still believed that the immortal furnace should not exist. So whoever was watching his video, he begged to stop this immortal furnace. He was also thinking that the legendary Demon Lord could also solve this problem. Veltal did not hesitate to take on the responsibility as the Demon Lord of the Immortals. After that, he tried to call Machina but he could not reach her. A few minutes ago, Marcus visited Machina so she immediately attacked him. Machina knew what Marcus was up to and would not let him succeed. They exchanged attacks using Marcus's blood sword and Machina's moonlit blade of fire. Marcus did not expect Machina to suddenly rush at him, causing his arm to be cut off. But his hand quickly regenerated and used blood rain against her. Machina managed to block them but Marcus was already out of her sight. Kinohara suddenly attacked her, but she quickly dodged it. Machina was about to attack her, but Marcus used the codebreaker, causing Kinohara to have a chance to pierce her chest with a sword. Marcus and Kinohara were planning to make her the next fuel in the immortal furnace. When Veltal arrived, Machina was no longer there and this made him very sad. Takahashi thought of using the drone footage to find out what happened. Because of this, they learned that Marcus and Kinohara attacked Machina. Veltal decided to save Machina but Takahashi stopped him because she knew he could not do it alone. He needed a companion who was also good at fighting, and she immediately thought of who could come with him. He went to Graham and begged him to help him save Machina. After Graham heard his explanation, he immediately understood the situation. Graham did not agree to his request because even if he did not like the sacrifices being made to mortals or immortals, they still could not deny that the ether reactor served as the heart of the city. Graham asked him if he would sacrifice the inhabitants of the city in exchange for an immortal. He made it clear to Graham that he would not need to sacrifice anyone. After he saved Machina, he would solve the city's problems since he was the demon lord. He told him that he had not yet used his full power, so he asked for help from his former enemy and a hero to do this mission. Since Veltal still called him a hero, he would uphold his hero status and decided to help him. They immediately went to the place that Takahashi indicated because based on the data that Egio had gathered, it was possible that this was the path to where Machina was taken. When they were close to the ether lines, they lost contact with Takahashi. When they arrived at the bottom, Kinohara was already waiting for them. Marcus had already taken Machina to the bottom of the ether reactor because he planned to quickly drop her into the immortal furnace. After Machina learned about the immortal furnace, she thought that maybe Ornard and Pomlock were brought there too, which Marcus immediately confirmed. In her anger, she attacked Marcus but it did not work. Because she was one of the 6 Dark Peers, Marcus knew that she would stay in the immortal furnace for a long time and would give them time to find a replacement when her power ran out. Kinohara immediately recognized Graham because of the record in their database. Graham decided that he would be the one to fight Kinohara so that Veltal could directly go to Machina's location. When the fight began, Veltal took advantage of this to get past the area. Kinohara could no longer stop Hein because Graham quickly blocked her way. Kinohara used her Magino gear to finish Graham off, so she could follow Veltal. She used the 5th generation of Magino gear, which was the latest creation of their company. Because it is lighter compared to the 4th generation, she could move faster. She attacked Graham non-stop while Graham just kept blocking them. Graham could not find a chance to attack because of Kinohara's extreme speed. However, this was not a big problem for him. When he discovered Kinohara's magic, which was the lightning draw, he started attacking. He also made several attacks, causing Kinohara to have a hard time fighting him. Kinohara attacked too, but this time, Graham could quickly counter her. She could not accept that she would only be defeated by the rusty sword, so Graham showed his sword's true form. She poured everything into her next attack, but Graham managed to get ahead of her. Graham's attack was so strong that she could do nothing but give up. She could not believe that she had lost to him, so Graham said that it was probably because he was more experienced in the fight. Kinohara wondered why he had not followed his companion because Veltal certainly could not defeat his master alone. Graham just laughed at how Kinohara underestimated Veltal because she did not know how strong the demon lord was. He revealed that Veltal was hiding a trump card that would defeat his enemy, and he was sure that Marcus did not know this. A few moments later, someone suddenly attacked them, and it turned out to be Magino gears. Based on their attack, they also targeted Kinohara, so he decided to act as a hero again and protected her. Meanwhile, Marcus did not waste any more time and dropped Machina in the furnace. But luckily, Veltal arrived just in time and successfully saved her. After putting Machina down, he asked Marcus again if he had any plans to join his army. But like Marcus' previous answer, he refused again, so Veltal prepared to fight him. Marcus attacked first with his blood swords and then followed with a blood bomb. But it did not work on Veltal, so they fought with their swords. Since Veltal had no familia, Marcus showed the big gap in their power as they fought. Veltal tried to target Marcus' familia, but he did not succeed. Through the blood on his hands, Marcus took advantage of this to use the blood bomb repeatedly. The blood bomb only got stronger as the blood in Veltal's body increased, causing him to receive a lot of injuries. Marcus thought that Veltal would not be able to move anymore, but he was wrong. Veltal's aura only grew stronger, which frightened Marcus. On the third and final question, Veltal gave him another chance to decide whether he would join his army or not. But he still rejected Veltal because he believed that he would become the true demon lord. So Veltal decided to show Marcus his second form that only Graham had the chance to witness before. On the other hand, Takahashi started hacking various TV stations in the city. He replaced the shows with Veltal's recorded videos so that more people would get to know him. Veltal had asked her earlier to do this so that he would gain more trust from the people, and this would give him additional power. After Veltal transformed, Marcus was stunned by his terrifying form. He tried to attack with the blood sword, but Veltal was able to cancel it. At first Veltal was 2 steps slower in using magic because he had no familia. The situation was different at that moment. He said that Marcus was now 1 step slower, so Marcus immediately thought that Veltal could do a proclamationless magic. He could not believe it, and because Veltal was already annoyed with what he was saying, he kept attacking his opponent. After he accepted all the attacks, the laughing men started to disturb his mind. Only he could see them because of what Veltal had done to his familia. Marcus could not take it anymore, so he begged Veltal to stop them and promised to join the army again. But he was not accepted anymore, and wanted to make him the fuel for the immortal furnace. He even tried using blood explosion, but it did not work on Veltal either. Marcus was dropped in the furnace, so that the ether reactor could be recharged with new energy. While in Graham's location, he also successfully consumed the Maginogears that attacked them. Due to Marcus's absence, the IHMI announced a new director. Graham decided to take Kinohara with him on his journey. While Veltal and Machina had a new home, and he continued his live streaming. One night after his streaming, he and Machina talked about the 3 other missing members of the 6 Dark Peers. There was a high possibility that they were still alive because Marcus only mentioned Xenol, whom he had dropped into the immortal furnace. To speed up their search, they would need the Dark Peers' records. This book could help them a lot because it automatically recorded what the 6 Dark Peers were doing and where they were. Unfortunately, it disappeared after they lost the war, but luckily Marcus did not use it to find the other 6 Dark Peers. A few moments later, Takahashi arrived, who visited them almost every day. Veltal learned that she was still a high school student. They told her their plan to find the Dark Peers' records. Since Takahashi was good at finding and collecting any information, she volunteered to help Veltal. After a few minutes of searching, she found a location where the Dark Peers' records could be found. It might be in the Akihabara School of Magic Luxel, which was located in Akihabara City. It was built after the war and there was an alleged hidden treasure under it that had not yet opened for 500 years. For them to enter this school, Takahashi would submit an official exchange program application from their school. When everything was set, they traveled to Akihabara City. Veltal was amazed when they arrived because the city had a resemblance to Alnief. The next morning, they entered the school and spoke with the school chairwoman, named Trat Gotel. She was one of the members of the 3 great houses, and because she held the magic town, Takahashi was sure that they should not underestimate her. She was worried that Trat Gotel might notice that she had forged their documents. Fortunately, they finally passed the screening, but were asked what their purpose was. Veltal did not hesitate to say that the treasury under the school was their purpose. They learned that there were 3 regalia needed to remove the seal from the treasury, which was guarded by the 3 great houses. These were the blade of the Gotel clan, the crown of the Seabird clan, and the orb of the Reynard clan. If they succeeded in getting the other 2 regalia, she would allow them to open the seat of treasury because it was their clan's dream to reunite the 3 regalia. Unfortunately, the orb of the Reynard clan had been missing for a long time. After they talked to Trat, their head teacher, Instructor Mag, took them to their room. Takahashi was uncomfortable for not wearing a familia. It turned out that wearing a familia was forbidden inside the school because the school's goal was for students to learn how magic works without it. When they arrived at their room, they introduced themselves one by one. Then their mana was measured using a magic stone. Veltal warned Instructor Mag that he would only break it, but she did not believe him, so he just showed her that what he said was true. Graham and Kinohara were also in Akihabara, and he knew that Goddess Meldia was also in the city. While eating in the canteen, Veltal noticed that their classmate, named Albert, was bullying their another classmate, named Hazuki Reynard. Most students looked down on Hazuki even though she was a member of the 3 great houses because she had no talent when it came to magic. But when Albert had already mentioned her parents, she could not hold back. Veltal suddenly intervened because they had interrupted his udon meal. They had an argument until Veltal learned that Albert's last name was Haygrams, so he remembered Gonfal Haygrams. He did not expect that a coward like Gonfal would survive, who was even shaking when they faced each other. He also said that Hazuki was stronger than him, which Albert did not agree. Because of this, he challenged Veltal to a duel, which Veltal accepted immediately. While they were preparing for the duel, Makina and Takahashi decided to talk to Hazuki. They learned that the reason why many students dislike Hazuki was because she could not cast magic. A few moments later, Veltal and Albert came out, and Instructor Mag was assigned to serve as the referee. Before they started, Veltal told Hazuki to watch him to see how he would defeat Albert. Albert was confident that he would not lose because for him, he was the strongest in the entire school. But Veltal did not agree with him because based on the mana pool alone, he was sure that Hazuki had a lot of mana compared to him. Even though Hazuki said that he could not cast magic, Makina did not doubt Veltal's words and that the school might just made a mistake in evaluating her. Veltal told Albert that he could win without leaving his position. They agreed that if Albert won, he would do everything he said, but if he won, Albert must never bother Hazuki again. This was not a problem for Albert because he was sure that he would win. He started to attack, but Veltal told him to use his strongest attack. Albert followed this advice, causing Hazuki to worry about Veltal. When Albert attacked, he was surprised that Veltal easily blocked it with one hand. Since Albert's attack was not bad, Veltal decided to hit him with one of his strongest attacks. It was so strong that Albert could not even stand up, causing Veltal to win. After that, Veltal talked to Hazuki, but she just told him to get away before something bad happened to him. While they were walking home, it was only here that Takahashi realized that Veltal's duel was a strategy to get closer to Hazuki and get an idea of where the orb was. They decided to go to the other side of the magic town first, which is called Electric Town. Takahashi took them to a maid cafe because there was a high possibility that they could gather important information in that place. Takahashi also chose the maid to serve them, and they were surprised that it was Hazuki. Even though Hazuki did not want to serve them, she could not refuse them anymore. They wanted Hazuki to imitate what the maid at the other table was doing, and even though Hazuki was embarrassed, she was forced to do it. After they ate and when there were no other customers, Veltal told Hazuki about their intention. Because Takahashi did not quite understand the regalia, she asked Hazuki about it. Hazuki heard the voice apologizing again as if it was coming from her right eye. She answered Takahashi and told her the origin of the regalia. It turned out that goddess Meldia gave it to Graham, and when their king deposed him, he entrusted the regalia to the second king of Luxel and ancestor of the three great houses. Hazuki knew that it would be difficult for them to complete the three regalia because the orb was missing. Veltal understood Hazuki and all he asked was for her to help them talk to the head of the seabird, named Cornea, and she agreed. But because Hazuki was hungry, they decided to treat her at another restaurant. The other customers were looking at them because of the uniforms they were wearing, which was proof that they were from Magic Town. Hazuki said that she could only bring one to Cornea, and Veltal decided that he would go with her. After a while, the police approached and told them to leave the area. Fortunately, Trat also arrived so the police were forced to leave. She wanted to talk to Hazuki alone, so Veltal and the girls decided to go look around the nearby shops. Trat asked Hazuki again about her offer to adopt her. Although Hazuki was grateful for this offer, she still could not accept it because she had to protect the Reynard house. Trat understood her, so she did not stay long and leave. After that, they did not waste any more time and Hazuki brought Veltal to Cornea's place. After Cornea's assistant named Meryl inspected them, they were let to enter the room. Cornea was a goblin which surprised Veltal because he thought that he was also an elf. It turned out that he was a merchant who had been with a true blood member of the Seabold house. He did not have the blood of Seabold, but because his master trusted him, he inherited the regalia. Veltal did not hesitate to tell him about his intention. Because of this, Cornea showed the crown and told Veltal that it was useless even if he lent him the crown. He had to be the true king of the city holding the three regalia to open the treasury. Cornea begged the others to leave them for a moment, and he just wanted to tell Veltal something. After they left, Cornea told him all the information he knew about the orb. He said that Hazuki had inherited the orb when she was a child, and even though he did not know its exact location, he could still feel it. He begged Veltal to help Hazuki because he also owed a lot to her father. And Hazuki herself was definitely the key for them to track down the orb. While the girls were waiting for Veltal, they talked about one of the members of the 6 dark peers, named May. Makina said that she was close to her and treated her like a younger sister. When Veltal and Hazuki arrived, they thought about sleeping over at Hazuki's house. Even though Hazuki did not want to, she could not do anything but to agree. When they arrived, they had drinks and played video games. Veltal thought he was really good because he always did this on his live streams, but Hazuki easily beat him. After a few hours, when Makina and Takahashi fell asleep, Veltal had the opportunity to have Hazuki tell him all the secrets she was hiding. She started talking when she celebrated her birthday. On this day, her parents took her for a walk and they did everything she wanted. But when they got home, a terrible incident occurred when someone suddenly attacked her parents. An operation was performed on her right eye, and she began to hear a voice asking for forgiveness. From then on, everyone connected to her either stayed away from her or was found dead. After they talked, an enemy suddenly appeared to them. This stranger introduced himself as hero of the New World Church and wanted Veltal to leave Akihabara. Veltal found out that Marcus was a member of the organization, and because he defeated Marcus, he was considered a threat. He immediately refused his request and only allowed one person to call himself a hero in front of him. When Hazuki saw the enemy's clothing, she remembered that the one who attacked her parents was wearing the same clothing. Trat also went in Cornea's territory, and because Cornea is complacent, he sent out his bodyguards. But he did not expect that she would attack him, and turned out that she was planning to take the crown. The next morning, news of Cornea's death spread quickly and Trat was the main culprit. Because of this incident, it was possible that Magic Town and Electric Town would be in trouble again. Suddenly, Hazuki received a message from Trat asking her to come to her office. The students were immediately gathered in the practice hall and an enemy appeared. The enemy immediately attacked to control the other students. When Hazuki arrived at Trat's office, she immediately knew that the person in front of her was not Trat because she called her by her last name. It had no choice but to tell the truth, and based on her words, Hazuki flung out that it was Instructor Mag. The enemy's mission was to collect the 3 regalia, and she was told that Trat got involved in the explosion that happened the other day. She knew that Meldia was in the city because she lowered her soul rank and transferred it to the baby. This baby was none other than Hazuki, so it only means that she served as Meldia's vessel and her right eye was the orb. Veltal talked to Albert and asked him to do something because he knew his ability. After Takahashi turned off the lights, they took action to save the other students. Makina also moved and the enemy was her target. Not long after, Takahashi learned that Hazuki was the enemy's target and to where they were located. Veltal left the practice hall to Albert's care and immediately went to where Hazuki's location. But it was too late when he arrived because Instructor Mag already summoned Meldia. So while Graham and Kinohara were watching the fighting, they saw the light coming from Meldia. Meldia immediately recognized Veltal and she did not hesitate to attack. It's a good thing that Veltal had 3 million subscribers, which was why he can withstand Meldia's attack. Meldia belittled him because Graham fought someone so weak, but he did not let her insult him. She continued to attack until he was injured. But because of this, Veltal discovered something about what she did to Graham's fate. Because of this, she felt guilty again and all she wanted to do was make Graham happy. This was when Hazuki had a chance to control her body and asked Veltal for help. But not long after, Meldia regained control of her body. Meanwhile, Makina was currently fighting the enemy. Because her opponents seemed familiar to her, she asked her name. She introduced herself with the code name Angie and asked her for her name. After she introduced herself, they continued their fight. They exchanged powerful attacks until Angie had a chance to hit Makina with her weapon. However, Angie had Makina's blood on her face, so Makina managed to use the blood bomb. When the enemy got up again, this was when Makina found out that she was also an immortal, and turned out to be one of the 6 dark peers, named May. But she did not recognize Makina, and when May was going to attack her, she was suddenly put to sleep by Instructor Mag. Using teleportation, they left before they got involved in the destruction of the city. Veltal and Meldia continued to exchange attacks, and no matter how powerful attacks Veltal released, it did not work on Meldia. Veltal found out what Meldia wanted to do, and that was to find Graham because she wanted to know how he felt and apologize. Veltal took advantage of this opportunity to say that Graham definitely would not like what she did after she possessed the body of an innocent woman. Because of this, Meldia weakened, causing Veltal to talk to Hazuki again. When Meldia returned, she immediately rushed at him and Veltal released Vernal Deal. But before he could use it, what Instructor Mag had prepared was suddenly activated. Meldia attacked Veltal again, and because of its strength, Veltal was thrown towards Graham's location. Veltal took advantage of this opportunity to ask Graham for help, so that he could have the opportunity to use Vernal Deal. Fortunately, Graham agreed and they immediately started their plan. Graham blocked Meldia's attacks on Veltal until he had the opportunity to throw Veltal towards Meldia. Because Meldia saw Graham, she lost her attention from Veltal, causing her opponent to stab her. Veltal's sword had the ability to kill souls, so Meldia immediately realized what would happen to her. Before disappearing from Hazuki's body, Veltal reminded her that she should have trusted Graham. She just thanked Veltal and apologized to Hazuki. When Hazuki returned, Veltal told her that she still had something to do. Veltal brought her to the middle of the riders to introduce herself as the new true king of the city. Hazuki explained what happened to Trat and Cornea and managed to convince them. As the new king of Akihabara, she decided to remove the royal authority of the regalia from the city. Because of this, the Akihabara City Council would govern the entire city. After that, they immediately went to the treasury and they found what they were looking for. When Veltal's group returned to Shinjuku, Makina informed him about Mei. While Hazuki decided to transfer to Takahashi's school, and Veltal took advantage of this opportunity to defeat her in another game. But just like before, he still could not win against her. This is the end of the last episode of Demon Lord 2099 Season 1. I hope you like it and give it a thumbs up. Please share my videos and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching.